Good morning, everyone. We're glad to have you here today. My name is Connie Berry. I have with me
Bob Woodard, both shareholders here in the tax department, and ready to give you some more updates.
Thank you for joining us today. We're continuing our Tax Talk series. We're back for further discussion on the PPP loans. Right now, we're going to jump into our legal disclaimer. Now, for this session is for informational purposes only and does not take specific place of tax advice from your JRBT tax advisor relating to your specific circumstances. Circumstances.
Yeah, we were hoping, Connie, not to have to talk about the PPP loan again, but this is really some more important information that came out yesterday, really, that we need to get to folks. So
Absolutely. As Bob said, Treasury continues to update frequently asked questions weekly. And so today we're back with you. And so Bob, where are we at this week?
Okay, so if you guys listened to last week's little tax talk that Michael Brown and I did, we talked a lot about the FAQs that Treasury is continuing to issue, and they've continued to issue a lot more. We're up to FAQ 47. And so they've got 47 items out there that are, just different aspects of how the PPP loan works. The big one a week or two ago was FAQ 31 that talked about the fact that SBA was really concerned about borrowers having a necessity for the need for these loans, and whether they were going to be, whether a business needed the loan or didn't need the loan. What is SBA going to do? Well, yesterday they came out with guidance, question 46, and basically the question is, how will SBA review borrowers' required good faith certification concerning the necessity of their loan request? In other words, how is SBA going to treat all these loan requests and whether they were necessary or not necessary? And the great news is, for most of our clients, the SBA basically said any borrower, together with its affiliates, received a PPP loan with an original principal amount of less than $2 million. So if your PPP loan was less than $2 million, the SBA will deem that loan request was made in good faith. So in other words, they're not going to audit it, they're not going to check it, they're not going to even look and see if you met the requirements. You're just going to have been deemed to meet the requirements. So any loan under $2 million, the taxpayer does not need to really worry about whether they should pay it back or not pay it back. That won't be an SBA issue. So now anyone over $2 million, still they're saying the reason they're doing this is so they can focus on the folks that did get more than $2 million. So if you got more than $2 million, these requirements are still there, that you had to have good faith, that you didn't have other borrowing sources, you didn't have other liquidity, and you really did need the loan.
Right. Well, that's certainly good news for a lot of our small taxpayers, where they're not having to scramble at this point in time to fill out additional paperwork or make other certifications.
Absolutely. It really, I think should put at ease everybody's mind about what is the government going to do with my loan? The answer is now we know you're deemed to be in good faith, you're deemed to be fine. We can continue on now with figuring out what forgiveness is.
So speaking of forgiveness, has there been any new guidance from a forgiveness standpoint?
Not one iota of word from SBA or Treasury since we last talked. There's been no guidance. We were hoping we would. I believe, don't we have clients in maybe week 6 of the 8-week period? And so we're in an 8-week forgiveness period. We're in week 6, and the SBA and Treasury has given us no further guidance on how they're going to compute the details of the forgiveness, the paid or incurred issue that we talked about last week. None of that has been resolved in any way. No guidance whatsoever.
I know we have clients who are starting to feel the stress of not having that clear guidance.
Yep. Us accountants, we like to know what it is, whether it's good or bad. We want some clarity, and we have none right now.
Exactly.
So So one other thing I wanted to kind of talk about is, kind of where is SBA in the loans? So Connie, I know you've got some information that where we're at in terms of how much of the PPP loan in this second tranche of funding has been issued.
Correct. So in the second tranche, there was $320 billion that was allocated for SBA loans. And at this point in time, only $192 billion of those dollars have been claimed. So that leaves $128 billion left for those who still need SBA funding. So if you haven't received funding, please reach out to your accountant or banker for how you should proceed.
Absolutely. Most of the businesses and clients that we have that are kind of bigger businesses, bigger small businesses, have really probably applied. But I think the group who hasn't a lot are those small Schedule Cs. So maybe a hairdresser or a consultant,
A realtor.
the kind of a realtor. Lots of different people who are making, maybe you're only making $40,000 a year. You have that's your sole source of income, or maybe you have another job and you have a side job where you've got a Schedule C, and so you have maybe $40,000 of income there. We think about the fact that we think about the businesses that have 4 employees or 20 employees and all that, but even if you're just an independent contractor and have one 1099 or two 1099s, you're eligible for these PPP loans. And seeing that we have $130 billion left, it might make sense for you to go ahead and apply for that loan. Now, you have to have your Schedule C for 2019 done. And, but if you end up with $40,000 of profit on that Schedule C, the way we calculate it, you could get a loan of $10,000 from the PPP. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to keep all $10,000, but you could get a $10,000 loan, right, Connie?
That's correct. And what Bob means when you're not going to get to keep all of it, it may depend on whether you have, rent, utilities, mortgage interest that you can also include in there. If you're a Schedule C who is really, as Bob said, just a consultant, and I'm sorry, not just a consultant, but a consultant, or a realtor where you don't have any rents that you're paying on a lease space, or you're not in a building where you have mortgage interest and paying utilities, then you're looking at line 31 of your Schedule C for making that computation. And so when they originally funded the dollars, they funded based on a monthly calculation, but from a forgiveness standpoint, it's based on a weekly computation. And so therein lies the difference on what's forgivable versus what you may have to repay with 1% interest.
Yeah, but at 1% interest, that's still a pretty good deal. And I think really what we ought to do is tell people, make sure you just talk to your tax advisor here at JRBT or whoever your tax advisor is to get all the details, because every single taxpayer has a different answer, right?
Absolutely.
Every one of them. So, I think that's really, an important aspect is there's plenty of money left. The media has given us mixed signals as to where things stand, but the money's there. Our local banks, Michael and I talked about it last week, but our local bankers have done a phenomenal job of getting money quickly to their customers, our clients. And so if you haven't reached out to your local banker, we would strongly recommend you do. And if you need some help and some contacts, certainly contact your JRBT advisor so that we can help you get in with those banks and get those loans. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, Connie, was we did outside the FAQs, Treasury did give a little bit of guidance. We think it was last night when actually it came out, was that if you applied for a loan originally, so if originally back in the very beginning, even in tranche 1, you applied for a loan, and we didn't have all the guidance as to exactly all the things that could be included in that, right? So we had people who were applying for loans that didn't even know all the things they could include and realized later, oops, I messed up my calculation. So SBA apparently has given guidance that you can reapply. So what is that? What do you think? What's that going to look like, you think, for folks?
I think basically if you reach out to your banker and tell them that you believe there's a calculation issue, you'd like to sit back down with them, that they'll reassess your loan application and see if they can't help you recalculate. Because remember, originally we were making these calculations based on limited knowledge, fast, furious, down and dirty, and so there are some calculations that have been incorrect, underfunded, overfunded, and so it's worthwhile to sit back down with your banker and make sure that the amount you received is the amount you should have received. Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of times people forgot things, use the wrong computation, and especially as this lingers on and the economy continues. Hopefully things will continue to get better, but as the uncertainty is still there, and I think we need to make sure we maximize the amount of money that we have out there for folks. So that'd be really, I think that's important for folks to know. There's money left. The really small Schedule Cs, go ahead and make that loan request. It really is worth your while. Even if it's $5,000-$10,000, it's going to significantly change things. So
it will.
Yeah.
So I guess we're ready to wrap up for today.
I think that's about it. Hopefully one of these days we'll be able to talk about something besides PPP loans and give some people some tax advice that's going to be different from loan funding and loan forgiveness. But this is the time we're in, and we hope this has been really helpful for you. And hopefully we'll continue to work through this and get through this time.
We're happy that you've joined us today. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. Reach out to us individually, Bob Woodard at JRBT.com,
Yep.
Connie_Berry at JRBT.com, or feel free to call us.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much.